Some are born Chads. Those are the lucky ones. The rest of us, we wonder, could we make it? Could we live a life close to the life of the Chads? Most of us will end up accepting the truth that it's never gonna happen. But some people actually have the potential to ascend. If you are at the stage where you ask, can I ascend? Am I a contender? Well, this video is for you. I put out 7 conditions that if you meet, you have the potential to actually ascend. Go put a like under the video and later you will tell me if you meet all these conditions or how many of them you meet, how many you miss. By the way, guys, in order to qualify for ascension, you need to meet all the 7 criterias. If you're missing only one of them, they are all eliminatory. If you miss one of them, you're done. Your assumption could be considered to be nearly impossible. Let's kick it off with number 1. You have to have an above average height. Basically, no major flaws in terms of your frame and your height. These are things that you cannot change no matter what you do. I mean, I know that there is a surgery for it, but let's basically consider it for what it is. It is impossible to change for now. Maybe in the future it will be possible, but for now, it is impossible to change your height. Therefore, having an above average height is a requirement, one condition to ascend, that without it, your ascension is basically impossible. Now, I don't want to give a number because people live in different countries, but if you want to hear a number, because I know you will be asking for one, I would say 6 foot. 6 foot is the safe zone. And if you are living in some Asian countries, it might be a little bit shorter than that, but 6 foot is safe. If you do not have 6 foot, you are gonna be getting into the maybe zone, like the 5'10", but then if you are like playing with that number, everything else must be on point. So 5'10", 6 feet is the sweet spot. That's the area where I consider that, okay, with this height you can ascend. Basically, this is the logic, okay? You can keep up with me on this. These are the questions I would ask someone who would come up to me and tell me like, hey, do I have potential? I will ask him the 7 questions. If he answers not correctly, but the truth of his answers will fit the criterias, then I would consider that that person has potential. Whether he hits it or not, that's a whole other video. Like, that's a whole other video on what you need to do once you establish that you have potential. What are your actions? What are your priorities? That could be discussed in a whole other separate video. But for now, let's continue with point number 2. And obviously, it concerns your face. I did not mean that height is before face. I'm not doing any special order of importance. I'm just saying that these conditions, you need to meet all of them anyway. So with face, you must have a decent bone structure that has enough to support the whole face and quite symmetrical. If you have a flaw here and there that you can fix with surgery or something like this, it doesn't count. But I'm talking about having a facial bone structure that is at least decent, that you can build on it. It might have some minor flaws here and there, but if you have a major flaw that even millions of dollars cannot fix, that's a tough start situation. You are not destined to make it in this life, okay? I'm sorry, but it is the case. We do not have any tools to fix a face that is completely shopped. Maybe in the future we will be able to do so and looks will stop being important in the dating market, but for now, as situation stands, having a shopped face that is below 5 out of 10 and or have some major flaws that are impossible to fix, you are at a very, very tough spot because it's gonna be the bottleneck. It's gonna be where you're gonna get stuck. Face is the most important part in all life, dating included, but all life is based on how attractive your face is. If it's not attractive, everything else you're gonna do is gonna still have to pass through that bottleneck, which basically not gonna pass. And yeah, you need to have a preferably 6 out of 10 face, or like if it is 5 out of 10 but because you're fat or something like this that you can fix, then yeah, we can start having potential. If it is like someone rated you like a 4, like I don't know, Wheat Waffles Rehab Room, whoever, like you paid and rated you like 3.5, 4, and that is after you leaned out, yeah, you're not going to be able to ascend. I'm sorry. Moving on to point number 3. Point number 3 is age. Yes, actually, age change, but if you realize that you need to start looks maxing later in life, that's going to be hard, okay? I wouldn't say that there is a specific number. I mean, people grow up at different rates, right? Some people look okay at 35. Some already start losing a lot of points by 25. But we can just know for sure that the older you get, the harder it's going to be. maybe let's say closer to 35, right? If you are getting after 30, closer to 35, the looks maxing you do not only must increase your looks, it also have to offset the effect of aging that you have on your face, on your skin, on all that. So basically, it's a very like steep angle. Like the uphill battle is crazy. You need to improve your looks and counter off aging at the same time. Plus, I might add to this is not related to looks, but basically by this age, your personality has already formed, and it's quite hard to change it, to rewire yourself after a certain age. So that can also be why it's impossible for you to ascend anyway. Independent of whether you can improve on looks or not, your personality is already as is. Some people can change after that age, but let's face it, it's quite hard, especially if you have to combine with all the other factors. Like the ideal age to start, basically I would say the earlier the better. But if you're like 16, that's ideal. If you are even like a little bit old, like so you can, eat well to get taller and whatever, the earlier the better, guys. The earlier the better. 25, you should still try. 28, maybe. If you got introduced to looks maxing community by the age of like 40 or something, unless you're like extremely rich and you can do things with like a very good ROI, I wouldn't suggest you mess with this anyway, because yeah, it's already done. Like it's already behind you. Again, if you have all the money in the world, do whatever you want to do, okay? But yeah, we must be realistic here. Now, point number 4, and I have to ask you guys, please, I'm begging you, be careful what you put in the comments. We all know what's gonna happen here, but please be careful. Do not trigger the algorithm. I don't want my channel to be banned, okay? Interact positively. I appreciate everyone who comments under my videos. I genuinely appreciate it. Please go down right now, write something positive. Do not write anything that could trigger the YouTube algorithm. I don't have to precise what we're going to talk about. I expect you to be at least smart enough to understand what I'm going to allude to. I'm going to talk about skin, okay? And in this case, I'm not going to talk about the health of the skin or like its roughness or whatever, because all that can be fixed with enough time, enough energy, enough effort, sometimes a lot of effort and a lot of money, but it's still fixable. What I'm talking about is a skin color that would associate you to the group that is not mostly sexually desired. I cannot make it any clearer than this. You know what I want to mean. Please, guys, don't comment stupid stuff. Don't write things as if you are on Discord. This is not Discord. You can come on Discord. We can talk about anything we want, but please be respectful. Don't force me to delete your messages. I don't want to do that. But sometimes, guys, you write stupid stuff that makes me, I have to delete them. So YouTube does not associate those comments with my channel. Again, one last time, please, guys, don't comment stupid stuff. We all know what I'm talking about. Skin color is very important condition for ascending. I'm going to leave it on that. I'm going to go to point number 5. Point number 5 might be the most controversial one on this list, which is willingness to improve. I know it is crazy, but there are a lot of people with potential who will never actually tap it. There are not a lot of people, but I mean, if let's say Chads are 1 or 2% of the population, okay, then there is like 50% of population who will never be able to do anything about their life. But let's say there's a 30-40%, like a huge chunk of people who actually have a lot of potential, maybe not to reach like a Chad level life, but they could improve. They could go like from a low tier normie to a higher tier normie and have a more or less successful, satisfactory life, okay? But those people choose not to do so. They are not willing to do all the efforts that it takes. Maybe they compare their lives to a Chad, like, okay, he was born Chad, he did not have to do anything, why would I have to make any effort? Or basically any other rationalization for being lazy. I am not advocating for this. I'm a lazy person myself initially, but I had to train myself. I had to develop like how to motivate myself to do stuff. But maybe all of this will be included in a video on what to do once we decided that you have the potential. Maybe in that video, I will be able to develop on how to get yourself motivated. But yeah, I think you could have all the potential in the world if you don't want to go like to the gym, if you don't want to work, make money, if you don't want to go do the surgeries that you need to do, if you don't want to do any effort, if you don't want to learn about looks maxing, if you don't want to implement habits that will actually improve like your skin, your hair or whatever. I know that a lot of people will say that motivation is genetically coded, and there's a lot of truth to that. But I am telling you all the conditions you need if you want to ascend. So you ask me, hey, can I ascend? let's say you meet all the other 6 conditions, but I tell you like, okay, you need to do this and this and this and this and that, and you tell me, yeah, but I don't have time, I don't want to do that, that sounds like horrible, that sounds dreadful. If you are that kind of person, then you have no chance of ascending, because how are you gonna ascend? You get how it goes, because you were not born a Chad, therefore you have potential, you need to tap it. And I'm telling you guys, I'm pretty sure that most people who have potential will never reach it anyway. So if it is 20 to 30% of people, let's say just a random number, right, who have the potential to live a great life, like get multiple girlfriends, you know, like have successful careers, enjoy life. If it is a big chunk of people that has the potential to do so, only few of them will. It will be a number as small as natural Chads. So we will have like 2% of natural Chads, and we'll have like 3 to 4% of ascended like Chads or ascended Chadlites who have amazing lives, compared to like 20 who could but are having a life closer to the sub 5 because of their lack of effort. I said that this one is quite controversial. If you have any problems with it, you can write down in the comments. I read every one of them and answer every one of them. So you're welcome to write down any thoughts you have. Now we're going to point number 6. Money and time. Money and time could be grouped together because you actually need time to do few things and you need money to do other things. But then if you need time, money is what allows you to have time. I think this one is too obvious, guys. I mean, you need time and money. You need to be born in the right family, or you need to get lucky really early in life to make a lot of money. This one is too obvious. I don't think I need to waste your time by this. So moving on right to the last point, point number 7. So point number 7 is neurodevelopmental baseline. Basically, it means you don't have any major disorders, right? You did not grow up having any major problems. I'm not going to use the buzzword, but you know what I'm talking about. Let's say you grew up in a balanced family with a fair genetics in terms of adaptability, in terms of socializing. If you severely suffer from that, probably that would be very, very hard for you to ascend. And you can take this from a lot of angles. You will have a hard time actually doing stuff because you do not see the point, because you do not have any social positive feedback. Actually, I thought of an 8th point that I'm going to add right now, but let me get finished with this neuro stuff. If you struggle to that point, even if you get everything else, since you were not a Chad from birth, you will not be able to ascend. I actually think this is one of the least controversial ones. So I'm gonna move to the bonus one that I thought of like just during the video, which is some sort of positive feedback. If you want to ascend, right? It's gonna be extremely hard to do anything, to have any inner belief in your ability to ascend if you are like 18, 19, maybe 22, and you never heard a compliment from a girl. You are a KHHHHHV and you have no positive feedback in life. You have a rough situation in your family. You don't have a lot of friends. That's gonna be another point. I wouldn't make it like a whole point. Let's just give it as a bonus one. It is extremely hard to ascend if you have no positive feedback. Let's say I tell you, you need to go to the gym, okay? You have all the potential, but you are fat. Now you need to go to the gym. It's very hard to go to the gym if you're not going to see any results in the first 3 months. Let's say, guys, I get asked this a lot. I'm going to talk about like fat and the importance of getting lean in another video, right? But a lot of people tell me like, hey, did losing fat make you get girls? Maybe in theory, but the thing is, I was not a complete KHHV while being fat. Getting lean helped me a lot, but even when I was fat, I had something. It's not as good as after getting lean, but there is something like a ray of hope, like once in a blue moon, like a girl who's not in her right mind, who liked me for some reason. It happens. Like there is like few hints of things like, you are 5.5 on the scale, but you have such great future, like you are extremely tall or you have blue eyes. You have something about you that attracted like one girl. I'm not saying to niche max. I'm just saying that those positive stories help you believe in yourself and your ability to ascend. So if you had like flukes, like, you know, 2-3 random girls, like from the age of 15 to the age of 22, you were like, you dated 3 girls, okay? That's like a small number, but let's say you dated 3 girls. Those 3 girls do not just represent the 3 girls that you dated as their numbers, but they give you an image that you can work towards. Because if I find someone who has all the 7 points checked, like he has the potential, like he's not divergent, he's not short, he's not ugly, everything is right with him. I just need to look smacks him a bit, I need to work with him a little bit. But for the last 10 years, he have not talked to a girl, he had no positive reinforcement, no feedback, nothing. It's gonna be very, very, very hard to push him. He does not even have the mental image of how everything feels like, of how everything looks like. So that's gonna be a tough position. Okay, so these were 7 points with one bonus that you need to basically check all of them if you wanna like check if you are eligible for ascension. And I'm gonna make a poll after this video, like maybe 3 days in the future. I'm gonna make a poll and think like how many points you missed. Like, are you eligible for ascension, or you missed it by one flaw, or like one condition you did not meet, or like 2 conditions, or 3 or more, something like this, you know, just to get to know you better, to know what my audience is like, the SMV of my audience, kind of, because like we know that everyone is delusional about themselves, right? If you are like a born Chad and somehow watching my videos, I mean, welcome, but you don't need this. If you are not, and you are especially young, because if you are old enough and you accepted the truth and you said like, okay, this is not for me, I'm never gonna try, it's over, it never began, that's a whole other category. But if you are a young guy, especially like in your early 20s or even in your late teens, and you want to know if you can make it, if you can ascend, because if you were a Chad, you would know it, okay? Like if you were a Chad, you would know it. Everyone will tell you. Life is pretty clear about that. You are a Chad. If you are a Chad, you know it. If you don't know it, you will wonder, could I become one? Could I get close to one? Okay, when I say ascending, I'm not necessarily becoming an 8. Because I think like if you can become like a 7.34, you can get a decent life. You can get a satisfactory life. Actually, I would argue that you can get a life better than the Chads because you will have more appreciation. I know that you guys hate this point. Before I get into the tangent and make everyone mad at me, I'm gonna end the video right here. So this was Guidance Vault, and I'm retreating.